Whenever people talk about friendship, love, and loyalty, one name always comes up: dog. This particular dog waited for 9 long years for his owner, who tragically passed away, to come home, until 1935. That this beloved dog, known as Hachiko or Hachi, also passed away. His story is one of the most famous in the world, commemorated by a statue that stands today. Hachi's enduring legacy is a testament to his loyalty. It reminds us to cherish our loved ones and appreciate every moment we have with them. Hold your loved ones close and be grateful for life, because you never know how long until those things are gone forever. Today, in this video, we'll share the true story of Hachiko, a tale that is not a work of fiction but a real-life incident that took place in Japan. The film begins, and it shows all the children in school talking about their own heroes. A girl says, "I consider Columbus my hero, not because he discovered America, but because he dared to sail a small ship into such a vast ocean. Even if he hadn't discovered America, he would still be my hero." Now she leaves, and their teacher says, "Ronnie, tell us about your hero." Ronnie says, "Let me tell you about my hero." Ronnie then comes up and writes on the blackboard, "My hero is Hachiko." All the children watch eagerly to see what he's writing. Ronnie then says, "Hachiko is my grandfather's dog." Ronnie explains that Hachiko was a mysterious dog, and no one knew where he came from. Then the entire story unfolds in a flashback. Actually, Ronnie narrates that story to his teacher and all his fellow students, his friends. Now it shows someone parceling a small adorable puppy, and during the delivery, when they are taking it to its address, the crate falls and the puppy gets out from the cage. It starts wandering around the railway station. Then, a man, named Wilson appears. He says, "Hey, puppy, are you lost?" And he invites it into his arms, lifting it up. Now he starts looking around to see if someone recognizes this puppy, but there's no one there who comes up and says, "This is my puppy." Now Wilson takes it to the station master and says, "I found this puppy here. Maybe it got lost. Someone will surely come to claim it. Can you keep it here and hand it over when someone comes?" The station master replies, "Professor, I can't keep it here." Actually, Wilson is a professor who teaches music, and the station master knows him because he commutes from this station to his college every day. Now, the professor takes the puppy to his home, but after bringing it home, he hides it in a room because his wife doesn't like dogs, and doesn't want any dogs in their house. However, his wife notices the puppy. She asks, "Where did this come from?" He replies, "I found it at the station, and I'll return it in the morning." She says, "Okay, but return it in the morning." The next morning, Professor takes the puppy with him. Although the professor and his daughter want to keep it, his wife doesn't. So, they take it with them to an animal pound, a place where stray dogs or wild cats are kept. The professor goes there and says, "I found this yesterday at the station, and you can keep it with you for a few days. Put up a notice, and whenever its owner shows up, I'll come and take it away." The person there replies, "This is not an animal boarding service, it's a pound." Actually, boarding service is a place where you have to pay to leave your dog. He says, "This is a pound." The professor says, "I found it. What should I do with it?" The person says, "Let me check." When he sees it, he says, "It's so cute. Anyone will adopt it, but it will take 2 weeks because we're quite busy." Professor then goes to one of his friends who are an animal lover, but even she doesn't keep it because she already has a cat. After that, Professor asks several people, but no one agrees to keep the puppy. Now the professor returns to the same station where he found the puppy last night, because he commutes to his college from this station every day. He asks the station master if anyone inquired about the puppy. The station master informs him that no one asked about it. Now, the professor is compelled to take the puppy with him on the train to college, although pets are not allowed on trains. But everyone at the station knows him, so they let him pass, since the puppy was in the bag, isn't visible to anyone. After college, the professor goes to his Japanese friend's place, because the crate that came with the puppy has a note written in Japanese. He asks his friend what it says, and his friend tells him it's the name of a city in Japan and nothing else. Actually, the note is torn. His friend notices a collar around the puppy's neck with a tag on it, and he reads it, Hachi. Professor says, "What does it?" His friend says, "It has the number 8 written on it. In Japan, they call number 8 Hachi." His friend tells him that this isn't an ordinary puppy. It's a special breed, called Akita. The professor says to his friends, "Keep the puppy with you." His friend says, "It has already chosen its owner, and now, nobody else wants it." So, the professor is compelled to take it home. He tells his wife, "I made a lot of effort to find its owner, but I couldn't find anything. I even asked people to adopt it, but no one is willing. I put up notices in 10 places, so maybe Hachiko's owner will be found." She asks, "Did you set a price for it?" Then they hear a crash from inside. When they go inside, they see that Hachiko has accidentally knocked over a project the professor's wife had been working on for a long time, ruining it. After this incident, the professor's wife gets very angry and says, "I don't want to see it inside the house. Take it outside, and it should never come in again." The professor takes it outside to their lawn, where there is a storeroom, and he leaves Hachiko there. At night, storm starts brewing, and Professor gets worried that Hachi is out there alone. He quietly goes out at night and brings Hachi inside the room. His wife doesn't know that Hachi has come inside, and since Hachi's voice isn't heard by her, he turns on the television and sits on the sofa. He put Hachi in his lap. When his wife wakes up at night, she sees that the professor is not on the bed and the television is on. And when she comes out to the hall, she sees that the professor is sleeping on the sofa and Hachi is in his lap. After this, in the next scene, it shows that Professor is playing with Hachi in the lawn. Actually, he is teaching him how to pick up the ball. He throws the ball, Hachi goes after it, but he doesn't pick it up, because he doesn't know how to pick up the ball. After that, he tries several times to teach him how to pick it up, but Hachi never manages to pick it up. To teach Hachi, the professor throws the ball and then mimics a dog by going after it himself and grabbing the ball with his mouth, so that Hachi can learn. Just then, their daughter sees all of this from the window. She says, "Mom, come here quick." When her mother arrives and sees the professor playing with Hachi like a child, she's amazed. After that, their daughter also joins them there. Just then Professor's wife receives a call. They say, "We want to adopt this puppy." Upon hearing this, the professor's wife becomes happy. Now she says, "Can you give me your number? My husband will talk to you." She then searches for a pen to write down the number. Just then, her gaze goes outside the window and she sees the professor and his daughter playing happily with Hachi. After seeing this, she says on the phone, "Hello, the dog's already been taken," meaning someone has already adopted the dog. After this, it shows that Hachi has grown bigger, and along with growing bigger, the love between the professor and him has increased significantly. They start playing together right from the morning, and they always stay with each other. Now, as always, one day the professor goes to his college, but Hachi digs a hole in the ground and escapes from underneath, then heads to the station following his scent. The professor is sitting on the train when he sees Hachi standing at the station. He quickly gets off the train and tells Hachi to go home because he needs to go to college. However, Hachi doesn't go home. And that day, the professor is forced to come back home. After returning home, he is seen closing the hole from where Hachi had escaped. Just then, his wife arrives there and says, "You had gone to college, hadn't you?" He says, "I missed my train." She responds, "Bring it, I'll handle it. You catch another train." Now, the professor leaves for college, and while leaving, he tells Hachi, "You stay here." In the evening, Hachi hears the sound of the train's siren and understands that it's the professor's train. He jumps over the wall and heads straight to the station, where he finds a spot to sit and starts waiting for the professor. As soon as the professor exits the station, Hachi rushes towards him and enthusiastically plays with him. He loves him a lot, and it seems like the lives of the professor and Hachi have merged into one, no longer separate but unified. The professor asks the shopkeeper if Hachi had been there all day. The shopkeeper responds that no, he had just arrived a couple of minutes before the professor's arrival. After that, the professor heads home with Hachi, playing with him along the way. In the meantime, the professor arranges his daughter's marriage with the man she likes. One day, the professor meets his Japanese friend who had previously informed him about the inscription around Hachi's neck. He tells his friend that Hachi never retrieves the ball when thrown. It never fetches. It means he never picks it up, like ordinary dogs do. He says, "This is a very special breed." He says, "It never fetches, but if it ever does, understand that there's a special reason." The professor responds, "I will find the reason." The next day, it shows that the professor is going to his college for work, and Hachi wants to go with him, but the professor doesn't want to take him along because he doesn't know if he'll be able to come back home. However, that day he takes him along, and as they are about to enter the station, he tells him, "Hachi, go home," and Hachi quietly goes back home. In the evening, when their train arrives, just like the previous day, Hachi goes to fetch them. Now, this becomes a daily routine. Hachi leaves them in the morning and comes to pick them up in the evening. Gradually, the professor's and Hachi's lives become one. The professor devotes all his time to Hachi, and Hachi eagerly awaits his return home every time. One day, the professor's daughter comes home and gives them the good news that she's going to be a mother. This news makes the professor very happy, and the child in his daughter's womb is the one who has been narrating to this entire story. One day, As usual, the professor is going to his college, and he tells Hachi, let's go. But on that day, Hachi doesn't go with him. The professor approaches Hachi, showing affection, and asks, what happened? His wife also asks him what's wrong. He replies, I don't know. After that, the professor asks Hachi, last chance, you want to come with me? But Hachi doesn't respond, and the professor leaves. After he leaves, Hachi goes to the storage room and grabs the ball with his mouth, opens the door and runs towards the station. On the other side, the professor reaches the station and turns back to see if Hachi is coming, but Hachi is not behind him. There, a man also asks about Hachi. Just as the professor is about to enter the station, Hachi arrives from behind. Upon seeing Hachi, the professor becomes very happy, and there is also a ball in his mouth. The professor says, you brought the ball for me? He takes the ball from Hachi's mouth and throws it, saying, go and fetch it. And Hachi runs eagerly, picks up the ball, and brings it back to the professor. Seeing this, the professor becomes very happy because it's the first time in Hachi's life that he has brought back the ball. The professor even tells the station master standing there, did you see? First fetch, first time in life. After that, the professor throws the ball again, and Hachi retrieves it once more. Seeing this, the professor becomes very happy. He tells everyone around, did you see? He brought back the ball for the first time. Now the professor tells Hachi, I'm getting late, I need to go. But Hachi reacts strangely, and when the professor finally starts to go inside the station, Hachi begins to bark. He had never done this before today. The professor watches him carefully and comes close to him, showing him a lot of love, and Hachi also loves him very much. After that, the professor has to leave because he has to go to work. He boards the train and leaves, while Hachi watches the departing train from behind. After going to college, when the professor is giving a lecture to the students, that's when his health deteriorates, and he suffers a heart attack, leading to his death right there. In the evening, Hachi goes back to the station, but the professor doesn't arrive, and Hachi keeps waiting for him. Then, at night, the husband of the professor's daughter comes and takes Hachi because he knows that Hachi is waiting for the professor at the station. The next whole day, Hachi remains very sad, and as evening approaches, the time for his train to arrive, Hachi goes back to the same spot and sits down again, where he waits for the professor every day. He watches every face leaving the station very attentively, but the face he wants to see doesn't appear anywhere. Night falls, and snow starts to fall, but Hachi continues to sit there, waiting for the professor. Then the station master approaches him and says, you don't need to wait for the professor anymore. He will never come again. After this, it is shown that the station master takes Hachi home, and now the professor's daughter is taking Hachi with her to her own home because now they have to vacate that house, and there is no one left to stay there. After arriving at the professor's daughter's house, Hachi feels very sad because he hasn't seen Professor for many days. One day, he gets a chance and runs away from there. After running away, he goes straight to the station and waits for the professor. However, even that evening, the professor doesn't return, and the next morning, Hachi goes to the professor's house. There, he sees that someone else is now living there. And Hachi returns to the station again and sits in the same place where he used to wait for the professor every day. Then it is shown that the professor's daughter arrives, and she takes Hachi back to her house again. The next evening, as the sound of the train's sirens is heard, Hachi rushes again, heading towards the gate. This time, the professor's daughter herself opens the door because she knows that Hachi will not stop now. She says goodbye to Hachi, and Hachi walks straight to the station from there, sitting in the same place where he used to wait for the professor every day. Now, after waiting for the professor for several months, Hachi becomes the subject of discussion, and the news begins to spread slowly. Then one day, a reporter from the press comes there and tells the station master that they want to know about Hachi because they want to publish this news story in their newspaper. The reporter asks them where Hachi lives. They say they don't know. Hachi comes and goes as he pleases. After this, he takes a picture of Hachi and flashes his news in his newspaper. Now, after this news, people start sending money for Hachi so that he doesn't have any trouble eating. After many years, the professor's wife returns, who has shifted from here, and she comes here because she has to go to the graveyard to the professor's grave, and there her friend also comes, who is a common friend of the professor and his wife. The professor's wife says that it's been 10 years, and we didn't even know. After this, when she goes to the station to go back home, she sees Hachi sitting there. She goes to Hachi and says, "You've been waiting till today," and she hugs him and cries a lot. It's a very emotional scene, and Hachi, waiting for the professor at the same station. And one day, while waiting, he too takes his last breath. he also passes away. After that, Ronnie's voice comes. He is telling his classmates a story. He says, "I never met my grandfather, but whenever I hear about Hachi and him, I feel like I know him. Hachi taught me the meaning of loyalty, and also taught me that we should never forget the ones we love. That's why Hachi will always be my hero." After that, all the kids clap.